Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Josh Heupel went on Vol calls last night, provided an update on the status of quarterback Hendon Hooker. We'll get into that. And also, I just want to kind of talk a little bit in general about Josh Heupel and how he has handled this quarterback situation all throughout fall camp and then also into the season. But as always, guys, do me a favor. Go ahead and smash that thumbs up just below the video. Also, if you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. Go ahead and subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live or when we drop new content. And again, we'll be live Saturday immediately following the Missouri game. If you guys want to get an advantage over your sports book, you need to head over to the App Store or the Google Play Store. Download BetQL, the only app you need to make smart bets. Their computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports. Also gives you the reasoning behind why you should place that bet. Their model covers everything from spreads to over-unders and player prop bets. But I know how some of you guys are. You don't always listen. You want to play armchair quarterback, and that's fine. If you want to do the work yourself, BetQL has all the necessary tools for your research needs. Sharp data so you can see who the pros are backing, line movements, you can jump on betting opportunities in real time. They've also got great team summaries highlighting previous success against the spread and the over-under. So go to try.betql.co/VAWLS to get started now. Going to drop all the links in the description below, but if you use that promo code VAWLS at checkout, you're going to save 25% on all subscription offerings. They also have a deal where you can get an entire year of BetQL for free. So jump in the description below. Check that out, BetQL. So let's take a look at this article from VAWLS 24/7, written by Ryan Callahan. Heupel updates quarterback Hooker's status leading up to the Missouri game. It says here, Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel wasn't ready to say Wednesday night that quarterback Hendon Hooker will be available to play Saturday during the VAWLS game at Missouri, coming off the injury he suffered last week at Florida. But the fifth-year senior has made progress that might bode well for his chances of returning this week. Heupel goes on to say here, it says confirmed Wednesday night on the Vol Calls radio show that Hooker, who has started Tennessee's past two games, participated in the VAWLS practices on Tuesday and Wednesday. Heupel indicated that Hooker's status is likely to remain uncertain until later in the week. But Heupel said his return to practice is at least an encouraging sign that he's on the path to getting back to full strength. You know, this is pretty much par for the course with how Josh Heupel handles injuries. He's not going to talk about it. But the fact that Hendon Hooker practiced on both Tuesday and Wednesday leads me to believe that Hendon Hooker is going to be good to go. Josh Heupel goes on to say here, he's been able to practice here the last couple of days, not his normal amount of work, but has been able to get work in. Tennessee's coaches will continue to keep a close eye on Hooker, Heupel said during the team's final 2 days of practice leading up to Saturday. Heupel scheduled to talk with reporters after the VAWLS walkthrough Thursday morning for the final time leading up to Saturday's game. Typically those Thursday meetings is, that's where Josh Heupel tends to make those decisions. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how Josh Heupel has handled this quarterback situation from start to finish. A lot of people, still on that Harrison Bailey bandwagon saying that he didn't get a legitimate opportunity. All four quarterbacks before Brian Maurer transferred out, all four quarterbacks had a legit opening competition throughout fall camp. All four guys ran with the ones throughout practice. And when it comes to Joe Milton, I think clearly he was the front runner. He was Josh Heupel's guy. And when you look at insiders and you look at former players, guys that were in and around practice to see what was going on, Joe Milton was the guy. He was always the guy. And, Josh Heupel talks about the deep ball, and he says that Joe Milton hits the deep ball in practice, but he can't do it in the game. And we also see that Josh Heupel says that the wide receiver drops aren't an issue in practice. So is that the truth? Is that a case of maybe Josh Heupel protecting his players a little bit? Or is it true that these guys are getting it done in practice, but not on the field? Some guys are gamers. Some guys put it together on game day. We're talking about practice. But the job was Joe Milton's to lose. And when you look at the Pitt game, when he goes down, Hendon Hooker comes in, and I felt like from that point on, Hendon Hooker earned it. Hendon Hooker won that job. And yes, late in the Pitt game, he had the interception, which you can't do that. You can't turn the ball over. He turned it over also on the ground. He had several fumbles there for a couple of weeks. But he also, in that Pitt game, led the team down the field multiple times, kept them in the fight. He finished that game 15 of 21, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception, also added 49 yards of rushing. But I think that Hendon Hooker has won this job. He has taken over. This is now Hendon Hooker's team. The article here goes on to say we want to make sure that he ends up getting to 100%. Feels like he's on that path, but we'll find out more here. Heupel said Thursday is a unique day for us in that it's a walkthrough. You get some evaluation on guys, but Friday you get a chance to go out and run around, and that's where you kind of make your final call on where the health of your players is for kickoff. Goes on to say here, neither of Tennessee's top quarterbacks were completely healthy coming out of Saturday's SEC opener at Florida. Hooker, a Virginia Tech transfer, made his second consecutive start, but left the game with an injury during the second half. Goes on to talk about Joe Milton here. Says redshirt junior Joe Milton, who started the VAWLS' first 2 games this season, came on to replace Hooker. It was his first appearance since he was sidelined with an injury during the loss to Pitt. After Saturday's game, Heupel said really didn't want to play Joe in this game if we could, just based off the amount of work he got during the week and where we felt like he was at the end of the week. Milton didn't dress out for the 56-0 shutout of Tennessee Tech. And Heupel said during the SEC Coaches Weekly teleconference that Milton, a Michigan transfer, should be closer to full strength going into Saturday's game after returning to play during the second half against Florida. Says he continued to get better, moving around on the practice field closer to 100% at this point. This is just my thoughts. This is my opinion, which that's what this YouTube channel is. It's myself, the Indie Kid, and Dauber. We are fans just like you guys. We come on here and give our opinions. That's the point of the show. I think Joe Milton could have started that Florida game. And I think going back to the way Josh Heupel has handled this quarterback situation, I think that was his opportunity to hand the keys over to Hendon Hooker without necessarily throwing Joe Milton under the bus. I think Hendon Hooker went out there and he played good in that Florida game. Again, given the opportunity, hand the keys to the car over to Hendon Hooker and see what he can do. He was good. He wasn't great. Felt like he was efficient. Again, the stat line for him against Florida, 13 of 23, 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the real key for me, he didn't turn the ball over. Obviously, the outcome of that Florida game, not what you want. But Florida has way more talent and depth, guys. We all know that. Tennessee's not ready to go down there and beat Florida. Can they beat Florida? Absolutely. But they would have had to play pretty much perfect. You can't have penalties. Obviously, they didn't have turnovers. That was a good thing. But you got to play perfect. When the talent gap is that big, especially the depth issues, you got to play dang near perfect to go down there and beat Florida in the swamp. But now what I want to see Hendon Hooker, what he can do these next 2 weeks especially. I want to see Hendon Hooker go compete against a team like Missouri or a South Carolina, a little bit more even of a playing field. The article here goes on to say Hooker, who has started a combined 15 games over the past 2 years at Virginia Tech, has been productive for Tennessee over the past 2 weeks. He's thrown for 608 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, completing 65.7% of his passes while also rushing for 136 yards and a touchdown. Heupel hasn't tipped his hand regarding which quarterback might start Saturday if both Hooker and Milton are available on Monday. Heupel even stopped short of saying that Milton would get the start if Hooker is unavailable. I think that's the case. I think you're going to see Milton if Hooker can't go. But the way all this reads, the way all this plays out, I think Hendon Hooker's good to go. I think we are going to see Hooker trot out there on Saturday, noon kickoff, early kickoff against Missouri. And I'm excited for this kid. I feel like he has earned the starting job. What do you guys think? Leave me a comment. Do you think Hooker is good to go? And what if he's not? What if he's not? Is it time for the golden arm, the golden child, Harrison Bailey, to get an opportunity on the road against Missouri? I don't think that'll happen. I think you're going to see Hendon Hooker, and if he can't go, you're going to see Joe Milton. But like I said, guys, leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Do you feel like the quarterback competition was fair? I truly believe that it was. I do think that Joe Milton was Heupel's guy, but I feel like every quarterback got an opportunity. That's something that Eric Ainge said after watching practice. He said, there is not a single one of these quarterbacks that can say they didn't get an opportunity, because every single one of them got to run with the ones throughout fall camp. And I think Josh Heupel's done a good job. I think nobody really stands out. It's everybody's got a little something different. You could say that Harrison Bailey has the most accuracy, but the offensive line can't hold up enough for him. I don't know that he grasps this offense yet. On the flip side of that, you can talk about the big arm of Joe Milton, his ability to stretch the field. You can see it, guys. You see how much this offense opens up with Joe Milton. But if he can't complete the deep ball, it doesn't matter. And Hendon Hooker is right where we thought he was back in the spring, all throughout fall camp. The name's Steady Eddie. That's what you heard every time you heard about Hendon Hooker. He was consistent, and that's what we're seeing on the field. And consistency right now for this football program gives them the best opportunity to win the football game. But again, as always, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up on the way out the door. Also, you can check out the official merchandise of the Talkin' VAWLS Network. Just go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin' VAWLS. Any and all support is greatly appreciated, but if not, that's fine. Just hit that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you've got that notification bell turned on so you don't miss out when we drop content. And just a quick reminder, we will be live immediately following the game on Saturdays. That's where this channel really shines. Love the live streams, hanging out with you guys, getting your opinions immediately after the games. Yes, sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes we get fired up. It is what it is. That's the joy of being a fan. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. This is the Talkin' VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange. The